6 blinking numbers detonated my quiet life. $62 million clutched in a shaking hand under the same kitchen light that's watched me age. I didn't cheer. I didn't call my children. I set the ticket down and chose the coldest shield I know: silence. In my family, money isn't love. It's leverage, and I refuse to become their leash again. By dawn, coffee burned bitter and strong while I typed with careful fingers how to claim anonymously. Blind trust, the article said. An attorney, a wall, a new name for fortune. I booked Linda Myers at 10 a.m., slid the ticket into an envelope, and walked into a lobby that smelled of marble and money. She didn't gasp, not really. She asked what I wanted the money to do. Security, freedom, truth. The truth cut deepest. When Ellen lay dying, I called my son Mark, my daughter Emily, and my brother Robert. Mark talked payroll, Emily talked timing, Robert talked refinancing. Only Aunt Martha slid $200 into my palm and whispered, "I wish it were more." I remembered the warmth of that trembling hand more than the money. That night, I took out a leather notebook and wrote 5 names. I would tell each of them I'd made bad investments, that the bank was circling my home, that I needed $7,000, less than I'd given any of them. I would not mention the ticket. I would ask, and I would listen. The house settled around me. Old wood, quiet rooms, the scent of bourbon I shouldn't drink. I blew out a candle and watched the smoke ribbon toward the ceiling. Tomorrow, I would make the first call, and the people who claimed me would show who they were. Would anyone cross the distance back to me, or step further away? Emily answered first. "Dad? Everything okay?" I let weariness enter my voice like rain under a door. The firm collapsed. The bank is calling. I need $7,000. Her breath snagged. Renovations, tuition, a smaller amount maybe in a few months. "The bank doesn't wait," I said. Her silence did. In the notebook, sympathy, excuses, no commitment. Robert picked up laughing. 7? I don't have 700. Sell the truck. Refinance. You always land on your feet. No money, deflection, empty platitudes. Mark was brisk, impatient. "At your age? You should have known better. I've got payroll and a launch," I reminded him of the $5,000 I wired at dawn 2 years ago. "I appreciate it, but I can't." Lectures, refusal. I stared at the 3 lines like epitaphs. Then I dialed Sharon. Sugar over steel. She laughed softly. "Finally slipped, Henry." Sell the house. Live within your means. Scorn. Judgment. No help. I went outside to breathe and found autumn had sharpened. Leaves scraped the sidewalk. The sky was a hard blue. Inside, the notebook waited with one name left. Martha. Calling her felt cruel. She had so little. But fairness demanded it. When she answered, concern arrived in her first syllable. I told her the story. "Oh, Henry," she said, "I don't have 7. I can get 3. It's nearly all I have. Take it. No hesitation, no accounting, no angle. Just love wearing its work clothes." I wrote, "Gave nearly all." True. My old friend Walter, a retired cop with a jaw like an oath, met me at the VFW. "If you test them," he said, "be ready for the answer, and record it. Not for court, for your sanity." He pressed a tiny recorder into my palm. That night I set it blinking red beside the phone and dialed my niece. Excuses. My cousin. Laughter and prayer lists. I didn't soften. I let silence measure them. What would the recorder catch when collapse became more than a story? I pushed the lie to its edge. "Foreclosure papers soon," I whispered to Mark. He brightened too quickly. "Assisted living." "Safer. We'll find one with payment plans I imagined being filed into a soft hallway where people waited to be forgotten. Eager relief, solution that removes me." Emily's pause was longer, kinder, still hollow. "If it gets bad, sell the house. Maybe stay with us. For a little. The words for a little do what knives do when they're new. Cut clean, then burn. Sympathy shaped like exit." Robert arrived in person. Leather jacket, aftershave, a smile built for fleecing. He laid an envelope on my table, an offer to buy my house for half its worth before the bank could take it for less. "I'm doing this for you," he said. The recorder blinked under the table like a patient eye. Predatory. Mask slipping. I fortified the ground under me. The lawyer helped frame fireproof trusts under names that weren't mine. The banker asked who I trusted as trustee. Not family, I said, and signed a dozen quiet protections. Above the surface, I looked like a man drowning. Below it, I slept on bedrock. Walter came by. We sat in the porch's cool light while the neighborhood breathed. They're closing in, I said. Good, he answered. Let them. People reveal themselves when they think they're winning. He told me to stop apologizing. I did. Emily arrived with a casserole and a careful smile, eyes grazing the staged stack of bills. Have you thought about selling? She asked, sweet as caution tape. When she left, the dish sat untouched. I whispered into the recorder, appearance of help, containment. Then Mark called with a plan. Sign the deed over to him. Win-win. For him, maybe. For me, exile. I let my voice tremble. I'll think. He pressed urgency like a thumb on a bruise. I looked around my house. The roof Ellen listened to rain under. The table where I held her hand. And understood. The house wasn't the prize. It was the stage. What if I put them all on it at once? I called them to the house at 6. Robert arrived first, swagger stuffed in a suit. Mark came next, jaw locked for war. Emily, last, quiet as a hymn. The recorder blinked beneath the table. The contract lay on top like bait. We settle this tonight, I said. Robert spread papers with a flourish. Cash, clean. You walk free. Free? Mark snapped. He's robbing you. Sign it to me. Keep it in the family. Stop, Emily pleaded. This is about Dad being safe. Knives in a drawer, clashing. I kept my hands folded and let the room turn itself inside out. Robert slammed his palm on the table. Choose. I looked at each face, greed, calculation, fear, and asked, Do you know what this house is? They blinked. A mirror, I said. Tonight it shows exactly who you are. I pulled the recorder into the light and clicked it off. The red eye died. Mark paled. Emily's breath halted. Robert blanched, then flushed. Every word, I said. Every bargain and threat. The bank will hear it. The lawyer will hear it. If I must, the world will hear it. Robert stood. You can't. I already did. He sat. I slid the contract back toward him. Take this. It's worthless now. Mark muttered that I didn't have to do this. I do, I answered. Money doesn't change people. It shows them one by one they left, the swagger broken, the jaw unclenched, the apology too late. The door closed on their footsteps. The quiet that settled wasn't hollow. It was deliberate, like a craftsman's pause before the final cut. There was one curtain left to lift, the part that not even Walter knew, the ticket. Could I end it without showing the blade? Or did they need to see how close they'd dance to it? Stormlight turned the windows to gray glass. I pressed a clean shirt. Walter raised an eyebrow. Court? Verdict, I said. At noon I visited the bank, retrieved a plain envelope, proof of the blind trust, proof of the 62 million sleeping where grasping hands couldn't reach. By evening, thunder stitched the sky. I called them back one last time. They arrived damp and watchful. No papers on the table this time, only the envelope on the mantel and me in Ellen's armchair. You thought the house was everything, I said. It wasn't. 3 weeks ago I won the lottery. Silence tore. Mark leaned forward, voice suddenly tender with calculation. We can fix everything. Let me manage it, Robert scoffed. He'll torch it. I'll double it in 5 years. Emily shook her head, tears bright. Dad, use it for yourself. Please, I set the envelope down. I wanted to see who'd stand with me if I had nothing. You didn't. So I wondered who you'd become if I had everything. Now I know Mark rose. I'm your son. You were my son before money, I said. You failed both tests. Robert sneered. So you'll cut us out? Yes, Emily wept. Don't shut me out. I met her eyes, the only one with a tremor that wasn't greed. You made your choice. I've made mine. I opened the door to rain. They filed out beneath the thunder, smaller in the storm than I'd ever seen them. When the house was empty, I slid the envelope into a drawer and turned the key. The quiet that followed was a truth, not an absence. In the weeks after, I answered no calls. I signed trust papers no one would inherit, scholarships in Ellen's name, a hospital wing where breath is given back, a shelter where doors don't close at dusk. Walter sipped coffee beside me on the porch and said, You finally look like yourself." "I am," I told him. "I am Henry Lawson, 58, and I'm free." And somewhere, in the calm between two storms, a small red light goes dark, because there's nothing left to record.